Welcome on into a Victory Monday podcast of Inside Black and Gold, coming off Week 14, 24-20 at Tampa Bay. Steve Geller, along with, I guess, a dried out Jeff Nowak after spending the entire game on the soggy sidelines. How's it going, man?
Yeah, man. We were just talking off air. Like the biggest impact I had was sitting on the plane with wet socks and hoping no one could smell my feet. Yeah, that was quite a game. And it's funny. We were just talking about, like, thankfully they won, right? Like, that's a fun environment when you win. When you like, if this, for example, like the game in Green Bay last year, like that cold game, it was like you're standing on the sideline for 3 hours, just like, this sucks. Like, at least in that game, it was like, well, it's just fun. I'm having a good time. Like, and the players kind of talked about that afterward. Like, it's like being a kid again. Like, yeah, but if you're losing by 20, that's not going to be quite as fun, guys. Like, I need you to understand, like, DeMario's talking about it after the game. Like, I felt like it was a kid out there. Like, yeah, a kid who won the game. But no, I mean, I had a good time other than the wet socks. Like, that's my report back. And we sat on the storms didn't, like, I need people to understand, it rained the entire game, then stopped for 5 minutes, it seemed like. And then for some reason just started downpouring again for the final, 2 minutes of the game. And then the storms didn't go away. Like, we sat on the runway for about 3 hours. Like, they grounded all the flights. It wasn't just us. And, it's funny because, like, they give the NFL team a lot more information because I think they feel bad. So you hear the pilot coming over the intercom and like, yeah, guys, we're going to go to the other side of the airport because they want us to take off that way. And they're going to send a scout plane out to see if they'll survive these storms. And we're just like, so they just don't care about the people on the scout plane? Like, what if they die? Anyway, I've just never heard that level of communication. But no, I mean, Saints won. They're 3-10. And, like, it's funny. You lose so many games, you forget how good it feels to just, even in a bad season, even in a 3-10 season, you forget how good it feels to be like, oh, look at that, a win.
We had a good omen to start with, at least the opening drive.
Whoa.
Rare, very rare.
Oh, we'll talk about it. But yeah, I mean, I feel good right now. I'm tired. Like, it's one of those, like, those road trips after a win are tough, but like, because you're just up late, like, people don't want to read about a loss. They do want to read about a win. And I'm curious to see the comments and how many people are still down on the quarterback. And, it wasn't a pretty game. Like, let's be for real. Like, that was an ugly game, but the Saints found a way to win ugly. And
which made it pretty.
And, well, that's the thing. Like, here, I've said this a billion times, and I'm sure people roll their eyes and call me a homer when I say this, but, like, you don't win that type of game if you're not in it. Like, you're not winning that type of game if you're just going through the motions. You're just not. You're flat out not. That game meant so much more to the Bucs than it could ever possibly have meant to the Saints. But the Saints were the team that looked like they wanted it more. And I get told all the time, like, the Saints should fire Kellen Moore. Kellen Moore is doing a terrible job. And I know this is the cold open, but like there's so much more to being a head coach than calling the right plays. And, like, I get it. I need him to be better as a play caller, but, like, establishing a culture, having everyone on the same page, not having cracks forming in the locker room, that's all part of being a head coach. And it's something Dennis Allen was freaking terrible at. And, Sean was good at it in spurts, but, like, a lot of Sean being good at it was built around they just always won, right? It's a lot more difficult to do that when you're losing a lot of games. So I just wanted to say that out front. Like Dan Campbell in year one in Detroit, like, I'm not comparing Kellen Moore to Dan Campbell, but that was a key element to why he was able to build that into what it is. And obviously they're having their struggles this year, but, like, having everyone all the way bought in a 3-10 campaign that's not going to get better. Let's be real. Like, there's something to be said for that. Like, I don't think you should just brush that off the way I brushed off putting the right chyrons down on this to start.
Yeah, you definitely saw a team out there with that fight, and with the weather conditions, the situation they're in. We always talk about or gets brought up that, being a professional, is going out there and earning your check, whatever you want to say. Yeah. But let's be real. In a game like that matchup, it could have been like, why are we even trying out here in this? I just want to sit on the bench and stay warm, whatever it was, or get back into the locker room and get home already. You didn't see that at all. And obviously I think I don't want to say leaderships already, but a guy like Tyler Shough out there, obviously trying to prove a lot to everyone. And we heard from him saying that, not wanting to let his teammates down and rising to the occasion, all that good stuff. It's a good team building win for this squad, especially with that young QB trying to solidify his role.
Yeah, when we played the audio from Schlereth this week, one of the things he said was like, just because you play a pro sport does not mean you're a professional, right? Like, you're a professional by going out when you don't want to and doing all the work and being prepared, and even in a season you're out of the playoffs, like playing the right way. And I think that's what this week was about, right? And so we'll get into a lot more. Jeff Nowak, Steve Geller. We're gonna come back. We're gonna talk a lot about Tyler Shough in the opening segment. The stock is obviously up on Tyler Shough, but we're gonna pull that out of the stock up segment so we can have a fuller conversation about it. And then I think we'll hit stock down first, just so we can get it out of the way because it's gonna be short. And then the final segment is gonna be the full stock up, which is gonna be everything other than the quarterback. Because I thought there was a lot, like all the talk's gonna be about Tyler Shough this week, but I thought there was a lot that went well in that game, independent of Tyler. And you can all lump it into like everyone believing in the quarterback, and maybe that gives you a little bit more motivation. But no, it is what it is. But let's hit a quick break, and we're gonna come back and we're gonna dive into, okay, is this for real? Like, is Tyler Shough the for real deal? And should Saints fans be excited about? Like, should they be all the way bought in the way the team seems to be all the way bought in? We're gonna talk about all that. Who dat? Go Saints. We will be right back. And we're back on Inside Black and Gold. Jeff Nowak coming at you after the Saints. Jeff Nowak and Steve Geller, coming at you after the Saints took down the Bucs 24-20 out in Tampa Bay. It's the Saints' 6th win in their last 8 trips to Raymond James Stadium. And I asked Cam Jordan after the game, like, why is it that y'all just seem to play so well here? And he was just like, the Bucs are still the Bucs, man. Do you remember after the week 8 game, Jason Light, the Saints or the Bucs GM, tweeted that video of Cam Jordan being like, when he was at the Pro Bowl and they asked him like, what do you think is going to happen to the Bucs now that Tom Brady's retired? And he was like, I think the Bucs are going to go back to where they've been. Right. And Jason Light was like, oh yeah, I'm going to tweet this. I'm really going to get them. And since that video posted, the Bucs are 1-4. Oof. With a loss to the hapless Saints in their building. They are tied with the Panthers for the NFC South lead, and I don't know how the Bucs could possibly feel good about what they've been doing. Their quarterback has a busted shoulder. They drop in touchdown passes in the fourth quarter. All that good stuff. Their field is a soggy mess, and they have to play on it again in 4 days against the Falcons. I don't know. I just thought that was really funny.
It's definitely amusing how, to me, the Saints were able to adapt better to the weather conditions outside. We always hear from folks wanting to say the Saints are a dome team. Well, obviously they are. They play in a dome, but we've seen historically, though, under Sean Payton and Breeze, they were amazing on the road. But anyway, to have them rise to the occasion again when I kind of was like out on them, especially after that really disappointing loss to Atlanta. Then it was like, yeah, you kind of saw whatever. You're going to drop this one to Miami. and didn't expect much from them against the Tampa team you mentioned there had everything to fight for in this game.
Yeah, I mean, for what it's worth, the Saints have played their fair share of wet games this year. So I don't know if maybe that helped. Like they didn't handle it well in Chicago, but they did seem to handle it well in Tampa. So I don't know. Maybe having 4 rain games in one season has helped the Saints kind of just handle like wet ball drills and stuff like that. I don't know. But they did. They looked like the team that was ready for the challenge that was playing in that weather, and the Bucs did not. The Bucs were the ones making mistakes. The Bucs were playing that game like they expected to lose. It was so weird. Like they're up 10-7 at halftime. They get the ball first out of the break, and they just come out slinging it. Why? In what universe is like you sitting there at halftime being like, I know how we can win this game. Let's let Baker throw it in the monsoon. And wouldn't you know it, they immediately throw an interception. The Saints take the ball, go down and score, take the lead. And then on the next possession, the Bucs are like, wow, we could run the ball. Let's do that. And then they immediately go down and score a touchdown. It was just like their whole game plan didn't make sense to me. And it's like you have a quarterback playing with an injured shoulder. And obviously it's his left shoulder, but like, wouldn't you want to run the ball? Like what? It was just so strange. And I couldn't be happier about it.
There was one drive, it was later on, where they did put together, like it was like a back and forth, I feel like, between Rachaad White and Sean Tucker, and they went down the field, and it made you wonder. It's like, why hadn't the Bucs been sticking with that?
Well, right. Like the first possession, they came out and were just throwing it. There were an interception. The Saints, I don't know if they threw the ball on that touchdown drive just early in the second half. I'm pretty sure it was just like 3 runs. And the final one was a 34, 36-yard Tyler Shough run on this zone or the read option, basically the same play they ran on the first touchdown drive. And then it was like Josh Grizzard was like, oh, that's right. We can run the ball. And then they, to be fair, they did convert a 3rd and 11 on that drive on a pass interference. So it wasn't like it all went perfectly. But after that point, they just were ripping off run, and scored a touchdown. And it was like, oh yeah, crazy. Because like it was funny. I went on I did a hit on the broadcast and was like, yeah, it sure seems to me like whoever decides to run the ball and does it effectively is going to win this game. And the Saints just immediately go down and score a touchdown. It was just such a, like, I don't know, man. Like everyone every year to start always just heaps praise on Todd Bowles and what he's done with that team. They've had a 4-game losing streak in every single one of his head coaching seasons. And this week, I guess this year he broke that because they haven't had more than a 3-game losing streak, but they've lost 4 to 5 games, and they've all come in critical situations, right? Now they've won the division every one of those seasons, but it's not because the Bucs have been great. It's because the division has been terrible. And this year is the first time in, it seems like like 5 years that there's at least one team that's there to be like, we can at least have a winning record, right? Because like the Panthers aren't a great team. We watched the Panthers lay an egg against the Saints, but like they're at least challenging them to the point that the Bucs won't just be able to, kind of walk into the playoffs backwards. And like, I don't know, how long is Todd Bowles' leash to like barely get to 10 wins and get talked about like he's a great head coach?
I feel like because he's had that security blanket of like, well, we've been winning the division.
Yeah. At what, 8 and 9 with Tom Brady? Like
we're going for 5 in a row, guys.
It's the least impressive 4-year run of the NFC South that I've ever seen.
Right.
Cam Jordan described it as like a half-inflated bouncy house. That's like, yeah, because it still works, but like, you go in there and you're not having a good time. I guess, like, the fans don't like it. But anyway, trying to think what else to get into before we just talk all about Tyler Shough. But like, that's the conversation that everyone's going to be having. And it's just funny because last week we came on here and was like, why aren't people talking more about Tyler Shough? Like, and I think now the answer was Chris Olave dropped the ball and they didn't have that moment to win that game. I think if Chris Olave catches that pass in the Saints come all the way back and beat the Dolphins, suddenly the Tyler Shough phenomenon started last week. And everyone's like, wow. Because they lost the game, people were ignoring it, to not completely, but like at a larger level. But now with this win, you have a lot of national folks, even in a game where it's like he didn't throw the ball well, but he did use his legs. He had that kind of like Josh Allen impact that you've seen, right? Where it's like, go ahead.
I hate to be that guy, but after yesterday, I really did thought we were going to see like plastered everywhere more of Shough, because I hate to be that guy, but like you see a Jackson Dart or a Shedeur Sanders have that day, it would have been ridiculous.
It did seem like more people talked about Shedeur in a losing effort than talked about Tyler winning.
Come on, man.
Over or against the Titans, against the worst team in football. And Shedeur played well. Don't get me wrong. I know a lot of people are saying he's getting sabotaged because Kevin Stefanski took him off the field on that 2-point conversion.
Yes, I saw that.
It is what it is. Either way, like, no, I mean, I'm satisfied with this level of attention. I don't want the entire national media being obsessed with the guy, because at this point it's like you can't hide him anymore. Like everyone's talking about, okay, is he the guy? And I guess that's my question for you. Like, if the Saints lost their final 4 games and found a way to pick number 1, right, would you be taking a quarterback?
If I'm fortunate to get that number 1, I would decide to trade down, get a whole bunch of more assets, and build around Shough, because as far as what we've seen so far, it's worthy of at least trying to give this dude a little more weapons. We talk about whatever piece you want to talk about, from running back, wide receiver, tight end, interior offensive lineman. Give it to the guy and let's see what we can do. But there's been a lot of really good things you've seen, and that added element of the rushing game this past week at Tampa, in the conditions and all, in a crucial situation, being that gamer, whatever you want to say, definitely has me in his favor of like, let's see what we can do with him. Let's roll with Shough.
Yeah, it's hard to quantify like belief, right? But it just feels like that's what you have. And like, it's not me saying this, it's the defensive players saying this. Like, it's guys on his team saying this. And just, this is a long clip, but I think it's important to play. This is what Demario Davis had to say about Tyler Shough when he was asked after the game. And it's, I mean, again, this is Demario Davis saying this.
Does that mean something to the team?
Oh my gosh, quarterback play in the NFL is premium, it's paramount. That's why those quarterbacks who get those big contracts, they deserve every dollar that they get. Quarterback play is the deciding factor when offenses and defenses are evenly matched. I think it's very hard for a quarterback to just stand in the pocket and just try to beat defensively, beat defensive like the game of old. I have a ton of respect for all those quarterbacks that did that, but I just think the pass rush is too dominant today, and the schemes are too complex for a quarterback to just be able to beat you in the pocket. And so the quarterback has to be able to read the defense, of course, and think quickly and do all those things, but the quarterback got to have some extra sauce too. They have to be able to keep plays alive with their legs, and they got to know how and when to run. It may be a run to keep the play alive. It may be a run to get the first down. And it may be, I mean, when you look at the team we're going against, I have a tremendous amount of respect for Baker Mayfield. And what separates him is that he knows how and when to run. And I think that's why their team has been successful. I think you look at the past 3 or 4 years, they won the division is because of quarterback play. And I think that was a difference maker for us today. We had high quarterback play. Very, very proud of the way, and I thought Shough did an unbelievable job, and to date, that's who he's been. So.
What impresses you the most about him as a rookie quarterback?
I think he has that. He's shown to have that it factor. What is the it factor? I don't know. What is that thing that separates, some of our top quarterbacks in the league from the rest of the guys. It's that savviness to make heads-up plays. Like one of my favorite plays with him last week, it didn't go that far, but he was about to get sacked and he dumped the ball off to the tight end. Like, to have that level of ice in your veins to make plays when, plays are could be dead in essence, to save a play, to extend a play, to make big runs and big moments, big third downs, to be able to turn into that pocket passer that can read the defense quick and get the ball out. To have that diversity is what I believe that any franchise needs to be successful in today's game. I just don't think if you don't have that guy at that position that you're gonna succeed. And so it's been great to see him make those plays, and we need him to continue to make those plays.
Preach.
Yeah, and like I said, it's hard to quantify belief. Like you look at quarterbacks, and it's like you can say, "Hey, I want this. I want these measurables. I want these numbers." But at the end of the day, it's you get the ball back with 2 minutes and change, and you need to drive for a score. And do you believe the guy's going to do it, or do you not believe the guy's going to do it? Right? Like, does the defense believe if I get this stop right here and we get the ball back to our offense, are they going to go take advantage of it? And when you're talking about the best quarterbacks in the NFL, the answer is yes, right? When you got the ball back to Drew Brees with a chance to go win a game, he went and won that game, right? You talk about a Josh Allen, you talk about a Pat Mahomes, like even, Pat Mahomes lost last night. The entire time I was watching it, I was like, at some point, he's going to get this done. He didn't, because the Texans defense is apparently that good. But like, that's just kind of the idea. Like, when you believe that's the guy and he can go get it done and he's going to find a way. Like, it wasn't pretty. Like, you didn't draw up this game plan and being like, yeah, Tyler Shough's going to scramble and make 3 guys miss and go get a touchdown to give us the lead in the fourth quarter. But that's what happened because he found a way, right? And, it's all over his tape. Like, that's the thing. Like, the receipts are starting to come out. I haven't pulled out all the receipts yet, but they're starting to come out. Like, I know we posted a reminder that in my final mock draft, I had the Saints trading up to go get Tyler Shough because, like, you could see it on tape, right? And the thing I think people get wrong about the quarterback position so much is they focus on the wrong things. Like, especially in college, people focus on way the wrong things. High-level quarterback play is usually boring, right? It's not exciting. At its essence, being an elite quarterback is following rules and doing it even in critical moments, doing it even when it's hard to do, even when the looks are difficult and you have to figure it out. But at the end of the day, a majority of the time, you need to just run the offense the right way, make the right reads, understand what the defense wants you to do, and understand how you beat that defense, right? Like, that's what quarterback play is at its core. It's mental. And then if you add the elite measurables, if you add the off-schedule playmaking, if you add the ability to run and make plays that are and create plays out of nothing, then you have an elite quarterback. But you have to have that first part before that second part even matters. But most times when people get it wrong at quarterback, it's because they're talking about that second part before they even worry about the first part. And that first part was never there to begin with, because most colleges do not require quarterbacks to actually play the quarterback position at a high enough level to succeed at the NFL level, right? And so you see guys get into the NFL and they have people going like, you see Cam Ward rolling out to the right and throwing the ball all the way back across the field for a touchdown. And people are like, wow, that's amazing. He's him. And then he goes to the sideline and his coach is like, never do that again. Because that's not what we want you to do. But it's hard to disassociate the wow moments from the fact that, like, that's not quarterback play. That's just playmaking. And playmaking has a place, but it can't be all you are. You have to be a quarterback before you are a playmaker. And when you are a quarterback that can also be a playmaker, again, you turn into the elite quarterbacks. You turn into a potential MVP candidate. You turn into the Josh Allens. And that's where we are. And not with the Josh Allen, but with a guy that you see as the potential to be a franchise quarterback, to be a guy who can elevate your team, to be a guy that the defense and the offense and the playmakers around him believe in. And whether that is the case or not, again, I said this a few weeks ago after the Carolina win. It's not that you're at the end of the road where you're like, wow, we found the guy. It is the road's there. You see it. You can now travel down it. Are there potholes? Are there issues that you may run into along the way where you're going to burst a couple tires? Sure, possibly, but it's worth going down that road. And once you feel like it's worth going down that road, to go back to the original question, yeah, I'm not drafting a quarterback. I'm seeing what I have with this quarterback. And at this point, the odds, it feels like, are more likely that you end up picking somewhere around 10th than number 1. And that's annoying. But at the end of the day, if you have the quarterback, you can pick anywhere and be happy because all you have to do is build up around that guy. Every team in the NFL either has a quarterback or is trying to find the quarterback. And once you are on that first list, everything gets easier. So we'll see how it goes. But it's just funny because I don't think this was Tyler Shough's best game, but it's his most exciting game. And that's why the eyeballs are now on him. And it's just cool to see him deliver in those moments. And that scramble, that was next level, man. I have no idea how he got out of that.
Well, it's funny, too, when you get to watch it and you love seeing it over and over and over again. But the 3 Buccaneers defenders, it's like dominoes. Bing, bing, bing. They go down 1, 2, 3 as he rolls out, and it's just great. But overall, what was impressive about it, obviously on the road, the conditions, division opponent, a team that's fighting for the top spot, 2 in the NFC South. But that's something that got brought up a ton. The Saints, for whatever reason, that success in Raymond James Stadium. Let's keep that mojo going, whatever's going on there.
Yeah, and you know what I appreciated about those runs? Like, obviously, the fact that he scored on them, great, and that was the thing coming out of college. Like, one of the reasons I was high on him was because it seemed like because of how he played at Louisville, everyone just forgot that, like, this guy's an athlete, right? Like, and he played a certain way at Louisville because they wanted to make sure he got through his season so that he could go to the NFL and people could be like, he can play quarterback. And the injuries were not orthopedic injuries; they were broken bones, and a lot of it was because he was getting asked to run constantly. Like, you go back and watch his highlights at Texas Tech, and he was getting, like, they were just throwing him up there. Like, he was getting nailed constantly. And yes, as a quarterback, you just can't survive that way. But that's in there. Like, you could see it on tape. Like, that's in there. The playmaking is in there. The arm talent is there. The size is there. The measurables are there. And the ability to run the offense is there. But what I really did appreciate about both of those runs is go watch how they ended. Did he take a big hit? Did he go and get potentially concussed? No. He scored a touchdown and protected himself at the same time. And the Giants would do cartwheels if Jackson Dart would be like, you know what? I'm too important to this team to risk getting knocked out because I just have to make a big play and fire up my team. Like, you can do that while also protecting.
Second one, I thought he was going to get killed.
Zion McCollum was coming in for that hit, and he was smart enough to avoid it. Yeah,
and then I worried about his shoulder. I was going through it on that play for sure.
He laid down on the ground, and I was worried for a second, but he was just like, I think he blacked out a little bit, but not in a concussed way, in an excited way. But like, you telling me that Jackson Dart in that similar situation is going to go under that hit and not just try to blow it up and then probably get knocked out of the game?
There's a lot to obviously continue to want to build on. No one's saying things are perfect, but yeah, you want to talk about that piece. I think it is worth to invest more around him. Yes. So yeah, I want to stick with the Shough show.
Plus, you're like, it's human nature. Like, you want to be right. Like, they drafted him, they developed him, and now people are talking, oh, he's the guy. Like,
well, it's not like, no, I don't see it. There's things there that you're like, that excite you.
Yeah, and that's why, like, people were clowning him for all the wrong reasons. It was so funny. That's why, like, and I don't want to toot my own horn here, but like, everyone talking about the age, the injuries, whatever. Like, none of that matters if he's good, which you see you go back and watch his tape and you're seeing all the same stuff. that he's doing now, and everyone's freaking out about. But because he was 25 and had a goofy throw at the combine, no one gave him the time of day, which that worked to the Saints' benefit because he was a first round quarterback that got in the second round. And they probably should have had to trade up for him, which is what I had them projected to do in my mock draft. And they didn't have to do that. They sat at 40. They got the guy, and we'll see how he goes. Lehman Park's over here saying he's 33 years old. Heck, he could be 45 years old. If he plays like that, I don't care. So we'll see. But anyway.
Yeah, as for right now, there was another valet comments were complaining about, giving up the asset for a guy that's an older prospect. And I'm like, okay, it's done. It's over with. Let's just deal with the now.
Again, and I'll say it again, like so many times you look at people and their critiques, and I'm just like, you're looking at the wrong stuff, man. Like you're looking at everything that is not what can this player do? And so we'll see. And there's a long way to go. Like I think that's where we're in danger of right now is overhyping the guy. Right. He comes back next week and has a rookie performance. Like there's issues in that game. Like he made mistakes in that game. The difference is like, you talk about certain guys like Spencer, and like again, I like Spencer Rattler, but it felt like he had to play perfect to give you a chance to win. Right? Like the ceiling wasn't high enough that you could make mistakes. You could have a couple fumbles, you could throw interceptions and then work your way back. Like there was mistakes in that game. There was an interception in that game, right? He's still taking too many sacks. Like there's issues, but the it factor is there.
You mentioned that interception. Do we know I'm saying whose fault? Obviously, both players have to be on the same page. But what the hell happened there?
I need to look at the tape. I mean, what happened? It's a fade that he can convert into a comeback if he's not on top, right? I mean, that's all that is. And I was going to talk about this in the stock down because it's an issue that's continuing. But I mean, that's what it is. Is you're reading that leverage. He thinks Chris is going to go on the fade. Chris clearly felt like he wasn't going to be able to get on top, so he's working it back. And it's just a matter of reps, right? And that's probably the consequence of, hey, you're going through training camp, you have a competition, you're not getting all the reps. You go through the first 8 weeks of the season, you're not getting any reps. And now that chemistry that you really need to build in camp, because that's when you're getting the majority of your time on task. Like you're not running a ton of plays in practice, like even getting all the first team reps in practice. So like that's why you struggle with that now. But those are the interceptions I don't necessarily mind, right? Because they're easily fixable. It's not a question of, he just, he didn't see it right or whatever. It's, whether they both get it right or they both get it wrong. The important thing is they both do the same thing. Right? Because if Chris keeps running, it's probably just an incompletion. He stops running and it's an interception. Same thing happened last week. So, like, it's one of but there's issues, right? Like, there's stuff to keep improving on. Like, that's where I think we could really get easily caught up in the excitement of that went so well, blah blah blah. You threw for 144 yards in really bad conditions. The thing I really appreciated, and it's not going to get talked about enough, is that 4-minute offense. Like you won that game for a lot of reasons, but one of the biggest reasons was you got the ball back with 3.5 minutes, 4 minutes to go, leading by 4. Like you lose that game if you just go 3 and out and kick the ball back. I'm convinced. Like the amount of pressure that you added by being able to pick up a couple first downs, and you give Devon Vele credit, like he was not a big part of the game plan. The passing game in general was very tamped down by the weather, and you got those 2 first downs. You're able to burn all the Bucs timeouts. You're able to get it under the 2-minute warning. Should have been, and we'll talk about Kellen Moore decision-making as we go, but should have been lower than that. But like the difference between getting the ball back at like the 30 with 2 timeouts and 2.5 minutes compared to like getting the ball at your own 20 with no timeouts, and you got to make something happen. You can't use the middle of the field, or at least, they're trying to force you to use the middle of the field. You're trying to get it to the edges. Like the degree of difficulty goes up just so much when you're put in that situation. And they were put in that situation because the Kellen Moore trusted his rookie quarterback to throw the ball on 3rd and mediums and Tyler delivered both times. And the second time, the Bucs lined up in the neutral zone, so it was a free play effectively. But no, I mean, like, that's winning football, right? Like, what is winning football? It's that. It's going and winning a game, not hoping that your defense can bail you out.
Also great too. I mean, was it 3 sacks? The running plays he had, the ball security in the rough weather, slippery conditions was really good. Thankfully.
Was there a fumble in that game?
Oh yeah, Taysom, but we got it back.
That's right. Yo, Taysom. Yeah. I don't know what's going on, man. It's not going well. Like, I don't want to say just right off into the sunset, but I just, what's the last time Taysom did anything that's like got you excited?
He definitely looks like a guy that's still working his way back and not ready.
I don't think he's, I mean, he looks like a guy that's not going to be back. Like, I just don't know if, and it was the hands. It was like you threw it to him and he dropped it multiple times, like even on the snap. And I don't know if it's because he doesn't wear a glove because he wants to be able to throw it, but like, I don't know, maybe put a glove on. So at least we could throw it to you and you can catch it. Anyway, that's. I mean, I think we've said our piece on that. I mean, you found a way, and the quarterback found a way, and that's all you can ask from a rookie quarterback.
We're driving the Shough truck.
The Shough truck, I like it. And like I said in the preseason, it's the name Shough is so much fun when it's going well, right? Like, there's so much you can do with it. The merchandising alone, like look at the Saints social media account, and they're just finding all these different ways. One other thing I'll just mention, I don't need to go through it, but I did look up because I was curious how Tyler Shough's first 5 starts compared to Josh Allen, Drake May, and I'll just leave it at it's favorable. All 3 guys were 2 and 3, in case you're wondering. So anyway, just leaving that there.
It's funny you mentioned, earlier too, when even you said Josh Allen, you're like, I'm not saying he's Josh Allen, but it was like, man, I don't know what those runs, you're making me think about Josh Allen.
Well, early in Josh Allen's career, like that was how, and people will want to do revisionist history now. They were clowning that pick when it happened.
Oh yeah, for
like,
sure.
They were like, you're really going to spend a top 10 pick on this kid out of Wyoming I've never heard of.
Right.
Because he didn't go to Ohio State because he wasn't, and the difference is Josh Allen's arm talent is elite. Like, he's got a cannon, the likes of which maybe no one else in the NFL has. And that's the difference. He's also 236, so he's able to run the way that Tyler, I hope, never tries to. But the biggest change for Josh over the last 5 years and what's turned him from a quality young quarterback to an MVP is he's not running all the time. He's running when it's important to run, right? He's running like we saw him this year. Like, when did he run in that game, right? It was when they needed a touchdown in a critical moment. It was when they needed a first down on like 3rd and 8. And that's where you can be a difference maker. If you're looking to run at every opportunity, you're just not going to last in the NFL. You're just not. Like, there's maybe one quarterback who can play that way and succeed. And he's just so uniquely talented, and it's Lamar Jackson in doing that you're willing to be like, you know what, we're not going to take the reins off. We're going to let you do what you got to do. And even him, like, you watch him play now compared to when he was in his second year, and he's dialed that back a lot too.
Right.
You just have to. You're too important to your team. Like, look at the Colts now. How do they think the Colts feel? They went all in. And it's not that Daniel Jones was running constantly and getting hurt, but your fortunes as a team change completely when you have that guy versus when you don't have that guy. And the Colts must be feeling terrible because it's past the trade deadline. They can't even go trade for a quarterback to try to salvage the rest of the season. Like, they're kind of stuck. Maybe they can. Maybe is Joe Flacco still around? That feels like a Joe Flacco situation if I've ever seen one. I guess they have Anthony Richardson. Maybe this is the Anthony Richardson redemption arc.
Where did Flacco end up? I forget.
I think he's a free agent. I think he got cut. Let's see.
Oh, Bengals, right?
Oh, they traded him, but he's not starting for them anymore.
No, because Joe's back.
So I guess he's still there. Yeah. So maybe they let him go and he's like, hey, I can go, be that mercenary thing. But all right. Let's we went far on this, but it's fun. Like, this this is what's fun to talk about. I broke out the Tyler Shough card. Oh, it's funny. I want to mention this. There was a guy. I still hand out the cards. I don't hand out as many as I was in the preseason, but every now and then I'll just be like, hey, take one. Especially at the road games, because I appreciate the fans who make it on the road. And there was a guy with a sign that said, "I love you, Shough," and I appreciate it. And I had a Tyler Shough card, and I just handed it to him, and like the look on his face, you would think I handed him like a brick of gold. He was so excited. That's why I do it, because I just like, it's so funny. Like it's cool. Like people just get so worked up.
Sure, a fan that's that involved and interested, and a little tiny piece of nostalgia,
right?
That gives them that joy. Yeah, it's the giving season too, Jeff. So kudos.
Yeah, I mean, it took the time to make an "I love you, Shough" sign.
Come on.
The Tyler Shough card is probably a big moment for him. But yeah, so we'll see. Hopefully he continues. Hopefully it's not like last time they come home and they struggle against the Falcons. Was it the Falcons? Oh, right? Did I make that up?
Correct.
Yeah. So hopefully they can keep it going. Hopefully they could sweep the Panthers.
No, they're just going to go on a tear now and piss everybody off.
Yeah. Well, I was talking to Mike Triplett after the game, and it's like, you look at the schedule, it's like they could win 5 games. Exactly. What's stopping them? All they got to do is beat the Jets and the Titans, and they have won 5 games. and I think with 5 or 6 wins, you're picking 10th.
Right.
And that's scary, but it's also like, I guess you want to be the team that's capable of winning those games. So we'll work from there. But
that's another one with the draft stuff. It's like people talking about Arvell Reese. I'm like, that one's not happening either.
That ship may have sailed. But either way, we'll see how it goes. The Saints love to ruin those draft picks, and it sure looks like they're doing it. Either way, we'll get into it. We went way long on that subject, so we'll come back with a short stock down segment. There's a lot of good stuff I want to talk about. I want to close out the show with it. So let's be quick on the stock down, because there's really not a ton. Anyway, I appreciate everyone in here. We got a lot of people in here, so we'll keep going. We're a little later today because Kellen Moore's press conference started early, so we won't cut off the way we typically do, but we will cut off eventually. So we'll have to be a little judicious. I'll try to get to a mailbag at the end, but it was just funny. Like you just look at the schedule and it's like, you're going to end up with the same number of wins as last year, probably, and in the most obnoxious way possible. But all right, who dat? I'm Jeff Nowak. He is Steve Geller. We're going to hit a quick break. We're going to talk about the stock down, what went wrong in the game against the Bucs, because there was stuff that went wrong, and I have some criticism for the head coach, as I am wont to do, and we'll get into it. Who dat? Go Saints. We'll be right back. And we are back on Inside Black and Gold. Jeff Nowak here with Steve Geller. We went all in on the Tyler Shough train. Toot toot. We'll keep that going. Chugga chugga chugga. But for now, let's change gears. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do that. We're going to be getting into our stock down segment. And Steve, I'll let you kick us off. What made you mad? What did you not like from that game? What's the stock down player situation concept that you saw there?
I guess the biggest thing for me was run defense. There were just too many times I felt 3-4 yards was coming off way too easily for the Buccaneers. Whether it was, Bucky Irving later on, early had more success than later, but then even when Rachaad White or Sean Tucker, the Saints killer, came in, there were just too much yardage getting ripped off, where I thought that the defense did pretty good, but just need you're nitpicking at things here. The run defense I felt like could have been a lot better.
Yeah, it's funny because I did feel like they played well against the run for large swaths of that game, but then there were like big chunk plays. Like the
Yeah.
Bucky Irving had that 32-yard run that, and it was when they happened that I think was perplexing, because it was like it seemed like every time the Saints took a lead in that game, they immediately just surrendered a big chunk play, whether it be on the ground or through the air. And yeah, I don't know. Like I think to me, it's more. I need you to be consistent. Then, like, you see it's in there. Like Devon Gotcha, I thought, had a solid game. He had a really nice stop early. DeMario was getting to the backfield. Carl Granderson had a bunch of TFLs. But, like, you can't allow those chunk runs. And there's been too many. Like Devon Chan had one last week. I'll lump the screen game into that. Because I think that is a part of the run defense, in the sense that, like, you just got to be composed. You got to understand your assignment. In that touchdown to Bucky Irving on the first drive. So, yeah, it's 4.4 yards per carry with a 32-yard run in there. Bucky had 15 carries for 55, 3.7. Rachaad White had 11 for 53. Baker had 6 for 42.
Yeah, Baker's. I mean, it's hard to contain all the time. He had some very hurtful rushing yards.
Yeah, I
long.
It was when they happened, right? Like it was like 3rd and 6, 3rd and 8, and he would step up in the pocket and there would just be nobody. They did adjust toward the end of that game, and I don't know why it took so long, but the last couple of times he tried to do it, and it was a criticism that I agree with Deuce and Hassan, which was like Baker slides down and gets credit for diving, and Tyler dove down and got credit for sliding, which means like. On a play where Tyler got 4 yards, they treated it like he slid and gave him 2. And on a play that Baker got 2 yards, they treated it like he dove and gave him 4. Anyway, I don't know what's going on there, but yeah, I mean, I in a game where they were going to be dedicated to the run, and I think the defense was at a little disadvantage. I think it's a little easier to get downhill in those conditions than it is to hold your ground, right? Like you're getting driven. Like I think when you go back and watch the tape, you're going to see instances where defensive linemen are just sliding, like they're trying to anchor in the run game and they just can't. So we'll see how it goes. But I can't say I'm mad about the defense in this game.
No, I get it. They really did a heck of a job, especially with maybe not getting the sacks, obviously, on Baker, but he definitely felt the pressure.
Yeah, I want to see more sacks. I think that's where I'd be critical. It's like you get pressure, you got to get into the ground. And Baker's really good at avoiding sacks. Did they get a sack in this game? I don't think they did.
No sacks.
But yeah, and here's the thing. And when you move him off his spot, you got to tackle him, and they weren't able to do that enough of the time. But my big criticism, and it's just like, it seems like every game there's like 2 or 3 Kellen Moore decisions that just leave me on the sideline being like, what? And in this game, the biggest one was 3rd and 1, I believe. There's either 3rd and 1, 3rd and 2. You give Audric Estime a carry, which I thought Audric Estime, he's a big dude. You watch him out there, he looks like a fullback. And I think he's an asset in short yardage situations that they can take advantage of.
I still think he got it.
I'm confident he got it. I'm sure he got it. Even watching it live, it was like he got it.
And nobody, I was going nuts. Like, why isn't this being challenged?
Okay. And so I think I understand the explanation, and it's a bad one, but I'm going to play for you what Kellen Moore said after the game, and then we can talk about it. He did also talk about it briefly in today's press conference and did kind of confirm my interpretation of this. But so this is what he said.
Yeah. It was a little bit of a tricky thing because initially we viewed it the way it came in. It looked like it was being reported as a first down, and so we tried to go tempo in the reverse scenario to try and make sure we can snap the football fast because they, initially it looked like it was a first down, and then they kind of pulled it back and turned it into 4th and 1, and then we weren't able to get the replay there, and so that was a little bit of a challenging situation for us, and so we weren't able to get it done.
It was like a game clock issue then.
As soon as it was first down, went tempo because obviously felt like it was close either way. Then it got pulled back to a 4th and short, and we weren't able to get the camera just because we were already in tempo, and so usually TV is going to go right to the live action in those scenarios. So, a little bit tricky.
Okay. So what he's saying there is they thought they had the first down. And a lot of times, and this is a good thing, you get a first down and you're going tempo. Like you want to keep that personnel on the field. They can't sub and you want to catch them off guard, especially that close to the goal line, because you probably have a goal line package for first and goal there that they're going to try to get on the field, get some bigger bodies, and you want to catch them. You have Audric Estime out there. So you feel like, hey, we're going to just pound it again. Or whatever you're going to do. Like you're going to catch them in personnel that's not going to be an advantage for them. Now, what Kellen is saying is that because they went tempo, the broadcast, and keep in mind, when they're deciding to challenge, a lot of times what's happening is someone up in the booth is watching the TV replay and telling Kellen, hey, we got this, challenge it, right? Because they went tempo, the broadcast didn't have time to play the replays to get a good look at it. So they just went straight to the game action. So they never got a replay that would definitively show that he got it. So that's the excuse. Okay, that's the reason. I think that's a terrible reason. I think you're watching the same thing I'm watching, and I'm watching that thinking there's no way he didn't get it. You're the head coach. You make the call. Like, I get it. Like, and I think this is just Kellen Moore kind of being a rule follower. But like at a certain point, you're like, I don't care if they saw it. I saw it. I trust my eyes. I asked the coach next to me, what did you see? Like everyone in the building saw that.
That was one of the few times, people talk about emotion or whatever for the side. I was furious that Kellen wasn't pissed off.
Well, but it's not even, it's like, yeah, they made the bad call, but like, you got to correct it. You cannot, like, that is too big of a moment in that game. You're down 14-17 and you have a chance to go in for a touchdown. You're talking the difference between a 1st and goal and a 4th and 1. And this is not a team that has been good at picking up those plays. And I think they, and they actually did convert. It was an ugly play, but they got it done. And then there was an eligible downfield for Caesar. I think he thought Tyler was running and Tyler threw it. And so that's theoretically a 4-point play that you decided not to challenge. And I just think you got to have the gumption to challenge that. Like you got to, like, I get it. No one upstairs is going to tell you, but you got to trust your gut there. Because I think everyone who watched that, including myself, was like, oh, that's obviously, I don't know how the refs got that wrong in the first place, but just running the play, I'm sorry. That cannot be it. And at the end of the day, using a timeout to make sure you get the right play in on 4th and 1 is worth it anyway. So worst case scenario, you can still run your 4th down play. Like there's just no way that like you look at that back. And it's just a good example of, I think there's been moments throughout the course of this season where rookie head coach makes rookie mistakes. And I think that was a rookie mistake. It was like, no one's telling me they saw it, so I'm just going to go with it. But too important of a moment. I think that was a big mistake. And again, it's just a trend. Like I think that this season, if you're making a change in the staffing, I want to bring in someone who can be kind of a game management czar for Kellen, someone who I trust, someone, because Darren Rizzi was always that for DA. And I don't know if he has a good person to do that right now, or at least it's not working because there's just been too many of those types of situations.
Yeah, like you said, growing pains with the rookie coach too. It was definitely, a point in the game that I felt like one of the fans out there just standing up going, what's going on? How can you just be moving on from this?
Sorry. Something started playing, so I stopped. Yeah. No, I mean, it's just, yeah, there's just annoying, but at least that's the explanation, right? Whether you think it's a reasonable explanation or not, that's why he didn't challenge. And there is a couple others, right? The decision to throw the ball on 3rd and 11 on that final drive. I think that's partially on the quarterback. I think what you tell the quarterback there is, hey, we're going to roll out. We're going to give you the option to throw it. If it's there, if you have a wide open throw, take it. Otherwise, stay in bounds. Keep the clock moving. It does not matter if we lose a yard or two. Just do not fumble. Do not turn the ball over. And I think that's probably a situation where you're giving the rookie, like you're trusting the rookie. Like that's one thing I'll say for Kellen is he's not calling these games with kid gloves. He's giving Tyler Shough the keys and saying, I trust you. Now, probably shouldn't have in that moment. And that's kind of what he said today when he talked to the media is he needs to simplify it and just say, hey, we're going to run the ball, because that should be the worst case scenario is Tyler slides down, takes quote unquote a sack, but stays in bounds, the clock runs, and you punt from near the 50. Instead, he tries to get aggressive, and like the throw he made wasn't getting a first down anyway. And if Vele catches it, there's a decent chance he just ends up out of bounds and the clock stops. So like the upside of throwing that ball there was non-existent. I think it was a mistake from the quarterback, but it was also ultimately a mistake from the play caller for just trying to get too creative or too aggressive, and should have just handed the ball off, punted it with about a minute 20 left. Instead, you gave him the ball back, and they almost intercepted it. Like that was very close to an interception. You ended up giving the ball back with a little under 2 minutes instead of a little over a minute, and just a bad call. Again, and he conceded this one today. Like that's just, you got to be smarter than that.
Yeah, and obviously with all the time on the clock and with the way we've seen the Bucs, even how they were earlier, probably more in the season than right now, but just overall the way the Saints season has gone, you just had that bad feeling that there was going to be too much time there for Baker Mayfield.
Yeah, and thankfully the defense came through.
Yeah, right.
You know, the one other one that did irk me, it's not as consequential as some of the others, but like there's no scenario in my head that 1st and 15 is preferable to 2nd and 10. Now, if the offense gets a 3-yard gain and you're talking about 1st and 15 or 2nd and 7, take 1st and 15. But when it's a 0-yard play, when you have an incompletion, decline the penalty and get into 2nd and 10, because in 1st and 15, the best case scenario a lot of the time is like, okay, can we stop them short of 5 yards? Like a good result out of 1st and 15 is getting to 2nd and 10 anyway. And in that case, they got a 9-yard completion, so it was 2nd and 6. So I just like, if they like, I don't think the math maps there, like to accept that penalty. If it's a hold and you're talking 1st and 20, that's a different scenario, because you could likely get into 2nd and 12, and that's a bet. But a 5-yard penalty, you do not accept it there. You go 2nd and 10. And I this is nitpicking, and I just think it's just an example of like, there's been a lot throughout the course of this season that I think you're going to look back on and be like, I need to do stuff slightly differently. And so it's not a stock down so much as it's just a continued trend.
You mentioned with penalties, though. I thought that overall, 10 penalties, you never like to see that.
Yeah, there was a lot. One of them goes on the kicker, which I'm not going to hammer. I'm not going to bang on Charlie Smith too much, but you know, that kicking it short of the landing zone there, can't have that. Missed a field goal, can't have that. They're going to stick with him, which they should, but hopefully that ends up being a good thing, because he just kind of takes the pressure off a little bit. You're going to miss one eventually, so I'd rather have it happen less consequential moment. But no, yeah, the 10 penalties for 82 yards is too much. It's too much.
I feel like that had been better after, being an early concern too. It was just, it was a messy game overall. I think even the Bucs had 7 or 8 penalties. So it was kind of a flag happy crew.
They did 7 for 49. And yeah, it was a gross game. It's going to be a sloppy game. You expect that level of that. But like, then there's lining up in the neutral zone on 3rd and 5.
Yeah.
And that's happened too many times this year. And Chase, I hope someone's addressing this with Chase, because there was a play late in the game that I'm also pretty sure they could have flagged him for lining up in the neutral zone. And the Bucs were getting it too. So they were calling that tightly. And he gets real close a lot of the time. Carl Granderson as well. And I think it's part of the issue is you have these wide alignments. So like when you're kind of in tight on the defensive tackle or the defensive end in a 3-4, like you can kind of base where you're lined up off of like, okay, he's there, I got to be right next to him. When you're way wide, I think it can be a little difficult to gauge the line that you need to be on. And it's just easy to get a little too far forward. But like those types of penalties, they're killers. Like you got to force a team to execute on 3rd and 5. You can't be giving them 3 first downs. So stuff like that.
Yeah. Other than that, there's not much really stock down. I felt like from a win, as like I said, it was an ugly win, but in the same sense, it ended up being pretty because you ended up with the victory.
Yeah. I mentioned Shough and Olave, like they're still continue to not be on the same page. We talked about it already, so I don't need to continue to hammer it. But it's the second week in a row Tyler Shough has thrown an interception because he and Chris Olave read something differently. And I think last week Chris was right. I think this week Chris was probably wrong, because I think you just got to trust yourself as the speedy wide receiver on the outside, one-on-one coverage, like go deep. Tyler wants to be aggressive. I want Tyler to be aggressive. I don't want the receiver to be breaking routes off unless it's like they're playing off coverage, because I think that's the read there. And I'll have to go back and look, but like if the DB is playing up, playing tight, playing jam, then you're probably throwing the fade. If he's playing off, you're probably running the comeback. And I think Chris just maybe he didn't have the get off that he wanted. You know, you're talking about the bad field conditions, and maybe he just didn't feel like he had it. But that's got to be better. And the good news is, like, I think that's an easily correctable thing with time. It's not a, wow, he just read this terribly or he made a terrible throw. It's they read it the wrong way.
That one too had me yelling like Derek Carr, though.
Keep running. Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, ah.
Yeah, it was a different situation than that one, because I think the issue with Derek on that play was like he wasn't running full speed because he was just a clear out route. But yeah, I put that on Chris. Like last week, I think Chris made the right call, because if he continued to fade, he would have just drifted right into the defender. I probably put this on Chris, but either way, like I said earlier, it's like,
yeah,
I don't really care who's right. I just need you to be doing the same thing, right? Because even a one-on-one, like even downfield, you give a one-on-one ball, the guy's in good coverage, he can still make the catch. He's done that. So I do like that Tyler's still giving him chances. Like, he's your top wide receiver. You got to continue throwing the ball. One other guy that I'll bang on a little bit, Jonas Sanker. It's not fair for me to be banging on a rookie this way, but at this stage, he's been playing enough. Pass interference on 3rd and 11, can't have that. I want to see him at least make the catch. And he fouled them early. Like, it was a bad play. It was the right call. And they go down and score a touchdown there. Like, you got to get off the field on 3rd and 11. That was on him. You have a chance at an interception to end this game. Catch the dang ball. So I'm fishing for stuff to be mad about, but I need him to be a playmaker. So,
yeah, there was no question for sure with the PI had happened. You were just like, damn.
Yeah. And again, you're asking him to do way too much. So you're being overcritical in these situations, but you won the game, so I got to find someone to be mad at. So I'm going to pick Jonas. And I'm sure in the film room throughout the week, he's going to get some barbs of like, hey, how about you catch it, man? How about you end this game? Because here's the thing. If the Bucs convert a first down there, they go down the field, they score a touchdown, suddenly that's the play that cost you the game. And you had a chance to end it. So it's just one that gets forgotten about because they did win.
Right.
In the interest of finding something to be mad about, I give you Jonas Sanker. Do you have got anybody else, or you want to move to the good stuff?
Yeah, I can't really think of anything else too negative. Maybe, there were spots where there was pass protection was rough. But I know there were also health issues along the O-line once again.
Yeah, and I mean, even the Tyler Shough touchdown, right? That's he had 3 people in his face immediately. So no, that pass protection has and will continue to be an issue. But I do feel like he at least controlled it. Tyler managed it, and you're down to your 3rd string right tackle. I can only be so mad at the 3rd string right tackle at the end of the game, or because I think that was William Sherman in at that point, the general. That I enjoyed that part of Bobby's rant.
Well, yeah, because we're watching, and then it was like, wait a minute, we're looking up. Who is this guy?
I wasn't sure if they were going to go to him or Xavier Truss, which I appreciate. Got to give Xavier Truss a shout out, because on the bus to the game, I was asking, does anyone have like an Advil? Because I was like, my back was killing me, and everyone's like, no, I don't. And then Xavier, he just reaches his gigantic paw over with this little thing of Advil. It's like my hero. So I'm a Xavier Truss fan now.
Amazing what a little thing like that, and it's like, I forever am indebted to you, sir.
There was a Xavier Truss fan at the game. I choose a picture of it. They had a Xavier Truss sign. It said, "In Xavier we trust."
Nice.
So I don't know, Xavier Truss. Anyway, just wanted to give him a shout out. But all right, let's hit the break. We'll come back. It's a long episode, but hey, if we're ever going to have a long episode, might as well be this one.
We got a W, right?
W episode should be longer. Anyway, who dat? Go Saints. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do that. Ring the bell on YouTube. Hit us up on Apple Podcasts. So wherever you get your podcasts, leave a rating, leave a review. You can follow myself, Jeff Nowak, at Jeff_Nowak. You can follow Steve at Steve Geller WWL. You can follow the show at Saints_pod. And if you want to follow along with this episode, I should have told you before, there is an article breaking down the stock up, stock down players over at WWL.com as we do. But all right, who dat? Go Saints. We will be right back.
Inside handoff to Devin Neal, and Devin Neal takes it to the goal line.
Touchdown.
There it is, finally.
Is that the end
Inside
of it?
handoff to Devin Neal, and Devin Neal takes it to the goal line.
Touchdown.
There it is, finally.
Why did it end like that? I think I have to talk with who's cutting these clips.
It's too short.
Huh?
Too short for you?
There's got to be more to it. I bet it was because they didn't know initially whether it was a touchdown, so there was probably some indecision. So it was probably an awkward moment there where he was like trying to figure out whether the ref was going to call it. Either way, Devin Neal, first career touchdown. Got to give him a shout out there. Again, we are back on Inside Black and Gold. Jeff
Rookie
Nowak
scoring everywhere.
I'm sorry.
Rookie scoring everywhere.
All these rookies running in their touchdowns. Jeff Nowak, Steve Geller, back on Inside Black and Gold. As my dog is freaking out. Bailey, will you calm down? There's a dog barking outside. Come on, say hi. Come on. Come on.
I think all the rough storms are over, Bailey. We're all right.
I'm a big dog.
Good
Right,
pup.
Go away. Go away.
Victory Monday, pup.
And we are going through these stack up players. And, you know, as we mentioned earlier, Tyler Shough is obviously a stock up player, but we spent the first half hour of the show talking about him. So we're going to talk about everyone else in this here segment. I don't know why I'm swinging around a pen, but I am. And one of those players is Devin Neal, who I got to chat with walking off the field after the game. So let us listen to that. Here with Saints running back Devin Neal. You know, a game like this, you come off waterlogged. It feels a lot different when you come away with a win, doesn't it?
Oh, man. I mean, you know, we went through a lot of elements today, man, and we fought. You know, that's the important thing about this team is, you know, we could easily just put our head down and, you know, talk about how the season's going, but, you know, we're still fighting, we're still climbing, we're still getting better, and that's the important thing about our culture and what we got going on here. So, special win. We got to clean up our mistakes, look forward to getting back to it next week.
Yeah, you know, coming out after halftime, it felt like whichever team really established the run and got that going was going to take this game. What did you guys talk about at halftime, and how did y'all go about doing that in second?
You know, honestly, I think we just talked about doing our job, you know, doing our 111th on the field, and it just all came together. You know, you felt the momentum, everyone doing each other's job, you know, and that was the important thing about it. It all just clicked together. You know, Tyler really went on a roll, the receivers catching the ball in these weird elements, and, you know, we got downhill, we were running, staying ahead of the chains. That was ultimately the most important thing about this game, and, you know, I think we showed a lot of resilience and a lot of fight today.
Yeah, and I mean, just talk a little about Tyler. You know, obviously the rookie class is very close. Just the performance today, not a lot of passing going on in this weather, but the way he was able to execute with his legs. What did you see from him today?
Yeah, I mean, I saw a lot of poise, man, and, you know, even under pressure, you know, he stood in there, he threw some laser beams downfield, and our receivers made some spectacular catches in the clutch and throughout the entire game. So, you know, hats off to everybody on this team, and, you know, I'm just super proud to see Tyler keep growing, see the team keep growing, and, you know, sky's the limit for us, seriously.
All right, Devin, man, congrats. Appreciate it. I think it's easy to be a Devin Neal fan for a few reasons, but it's also easy to ignore Devin Neal. And I think it's worth pointing out, like, you're asking a rookie to step into a bell cow running back role, and there's a good reason teams don't want to do that, right? It's hard enough to put a rookie running back on the field. But it's like you're definitely not trying to give him like a 3-down role. And that's what he has. Like, you got some Audric Estime, you got some Evan Hall, Taysom Hill was a factor. But Alvin Kamara went out, and this team very confidently turned to Devin Neal. And, the numbers haven't been blow you away good, but he's been very consistent. He's held up in pass protection. And you can hear him even when you listen to him talk, you can just appreciate, he understands the game, right? He doesn't sound like a kid out there. He sounds like a very mature player. And I just think he's been fantastic over the last 2 weeks.
I definitely thought with the Alvin injury, you were going to see some more touches for Devin Neal, but I was like, oh man, this team's going to have to be looking for some veteran back in free agency.
Yeah, and in this game, 19 carries, 70 yards, and a touchdown. 21-yard run was the longest of any Saints running back this year. First 20-plus yard run for a running back. Taysom Hill did have a 29-yard run, but he's not a running back. But the biggest play was probably the catch, right? The 3rd and 8 catch where he kind of just was an outlet. Tyler Shough found him. This is a game that you're down 17-14 at that point. If he doesn't make that catch, find the way for the first down, make a guy miss, you're probably kicking a field goal. And like we mentioned, Charlie Smith had already missed from 48. So it's not a guarantee that he puts that through. Instead, you continue that drive. Tyler Shough finds a way to score a few plays later, and you're leading. That's the final touchdown. And that doesn't happen if Devin doesn't make an individual effort to get that first down. And Tyler did a good job of finding him. Tyler clearly trusts him. And so, no, I mean, again, I don't know what Devin Neal's ceiling is. I don't know if he's a true 3-down workhorse back, but you put him in there and you feel confident he can do what he needs to do. And you came out after halftime. Each of the last 3 games, you've come out after halftime and run the ball really well. And he's been the biggest part of it. And so, one of the reasons that the Saints felt very comfortable putting him on the field was because they saw him as the best pass protection running back coming out. And he's been exactly that. They don't think for a second he can't handle the pass protection duties. And when you can feel that way about a young running back, you can put him on the field. And that's what's happened.
No, I mean, you have gone to him with extended looks just a little earlier than expected for sure. But I mean, in the end, going into next year, this can only be a positive, getting Neal more of these looks. And it hasn't been too overwhelming for him yet. And just, we saw a little bit with him being able to break out a run in this matchup. It wasn't anything spectacular, 3.7 a carry, but I had a 21-yard gain. And going forward, just continue to rip off chunks of yardage. And I feel all right. I mean, as crazy as it might sound with Neal, Estime, and Hull as our 3-headed monster at the moment.
I like Estime. I think he has a skill set that you can take advantage of for a team that has not run the ball that well in those hard running scenarios, right? That dude is a tank. If you've ever seen him up close, he's a tank. He's not the fastest guy in the world. I'm not asking him to get outside the tackles, but you need a yard and a half in a phone booth. He's going to get it. So
unless the refs give you a terrible spot.
Yeah, well, it would help if the refs had eyeballs in their heads. But so I think that's going to be the tandem. We'll see if Alvin is able to get back at some point. But Tyler Shough, Devin Neal, Devon Vele, this is kind of a young skill group that I feel good about. And Juwan Johnson, and we'll keep going forward. We don't need to sit on Devin for too long, but I think he's playing really well, and he's going to get. I don't know if he's going to get as much credit as he deserves because Tyler Shough's going to take the headlines. He deserves a lot of attention for the way he's played as a rookie 6th-round pick out of Kansas. What are the expectations for a rookie 6th-round pick? Look up Chris Carson. I think Devin Neal is a lot like Chris Carson. And I don't remember where Chris Carson came from, but he was a 7th-round pick for the Seahawks. He did not have a long career, but he had a very productive career. He got drafted out of Oklahoma. Butler Community College. He started at Oklahoma State. But I mean, we'll go watch highlights of Chris Carson. And that's who Devin Neal really reminds me of. He's not a guy that's going to wow you with any athleticism or any speed, but he just finds a way. And hopefully, he's got a longer career. But Chris Carson had back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons for the Seahawks. He was really good for a very short period of time. So just keep that. That's my comp right now in terms of what I've seen. But a few others, mentioned Juwan Johnson, who has been kind of he's another member of that skill group who, 4 catches on 4 targets. Like the big complaint about Juwan,
Yep.
too many drops. And he's really cut that out over the second half of this season. And especially since Tyler has been the quarterback. So, like he's been kind of a safety blanket for Tyler, him and Devon Vele in particular, like these 2 big targets, which is what you wanted, right? Foster Moreau also had a nice catch. Like these are just 2 big dudes who the big quarterback can find in critical moments and convert first downs. And that's the goal. That's what you want from your big wide receivers. And that's what they did. So I got to give those guys credit.
Yeah, a guy from me on defense, I thought had a really good game and stock up on Kool-Aid. Big play for him too, obviously, breaking up that pass.
Yeah, and I mean, I think the 4th down defense in general, and he kind of gets lumped into that, right?
Yeah, sure, right.
5 stops on 4th downs, and Kool-Aid
what was
played
going
well.
on?
Kool-Aid's been playing well. Like, it's not like this is the first game he's played well. Like, he had an interception last week. He had the 4th down stop last week. And this team in general, for whatever reason, has been really good. Like, I don't know if they've been great as a run defense, but they have been a stone wall in those 4th and short goal line situations. Like, remember the last time the Saints played the Bucs, they got stops on 7 consecutive 4th or like first and goal or plays from the 1 yard line, however you want to describe it. There's got to be a shorter way to describe that. It's 7 straight stops. And then the 8th one, the Bucs finally got in, and it was by inches. Like, it wasn't like they found it. It was just like, okay, he got it over by the tiniest margin. So for whatever it is, and last week you got that stop on 4th and 1, it was Kool-Aid. If you go all the way back to the Bills game, you recall, there was a 4th and 1 stop late in that game that set up a potential go ahead touchdown drive that obviously did not happen, but it gave them the opportunity. So they've been good in that scenario all year. And I don't know exactly what it is, but that's a good quality for a defense to have, because those stops change games, right? Like, that's as good as it doesn't go in the books as a turnover, but every single one of those is effectively a turnover.
Yeah, for sure.
And the play you're talking about, I agree completely. It was a massive moment in the game. You're tied 17-17. The Bucs have the ball near midfield. If they get a first down there, they go for a touch. They go in, score a touchdown. Who knows how that game goes? Even a field goal. Suddenly you're down 20-17. Who knows? Baker Mayfield, I think it's 4th and 2. He completes a ball to Chris Godwin on the sideline. Chris has the ball. That's a catch. And then Kool-Aid comes in, and you don't see this as much in the NFL anymore because you're not allowed to hit guys the way you used to be able to. And they used to say separate the receiver from the ball. Well, now most of the time when you separate the receiver from the ball, it costs you 15 yards. In this case, it's just a clean big hit, jars the ball loose from Chris Godwin, can't corral it, is out of bounds. Instead of a first down at midfield in a tie game, Saints have the ball. Like, I don't know why turnovers on downs do not go in the book as a turnover, but that's just as impactful as a forced fumble, as an interception. And again, he's got a 4th down stop last week, so he's just a guy that's been showing up. I thought that was a really cool play, and after the Saints get the ball, they go down and score the go ahead touchdown. So I mean, you could argue that that's the play of the game.
Yeah, with the Bucs, like you mentioned, with the 4th down ridiculousness, I actually have to go back and listen to just Baker Mayfield post game to hear what he had to say, because he seemed pretty ticked off on the sidelines.
Yeah, I hope so.
Yeah.
I'd hope he's not like, oh, you know what? It's just another game for us.
Oh, shucks.
Like the wheels are falling off. Yeah, and Will Hildebrand pointed out here too. So just like there was several 4th down stops in that game, 5 in fact. The first was Carl Granderson, who got, you don't see a lot of 7-yard losses on run plays, but that's what he got. He took down Bucky Irving in the backfield for a 7-yard loss. He just flew off the line. I don't know what they were trying to do, but it did not work.
Then you mentioned Granderson. I thought Grando was definitely stock up this game as well.
Yeah, he had a strong game. He hasn't had the biggest season from a statistical perspective,
right? But
he is playing well. And I think it's really a lot more about what he's being asked to do, because he's being asked to drop into coverage a lot. He's still out there making plays. He makes tackles, and that play was just a good example. He just flew off the line. They did not block him, and big stop. Then the Bucs try it again on 4th and 1. This time it's Demario Davis.
Yes.
Who just flew. I mean, he shot the gap and just ate Rachaad White.
And he's just eternally into the stock up Hall of Fame.
Yeah. So we mentioned the Kool-Aid one. So that was the third one. There was also a 4th down Hail Mary that was incomplete. So that goes in the books as a 4th down stop, even though it was the end of the half. So the Saints didn't actually get the ball, but it is a 4th down stop. And then the final one, they tackle K. Dotton about a half-yard short of the 1st down to effectively end the game. The Bucs did convert 2 4th downs. One was, I think they might have both been Baker Mayfield scrambles, but I can't recall. But yeah, I mean, when you can get stops in 4th and 1, 4th and 2 situations near midfield, like those are some of the biggest momentum swinging moments in any football game. And it's just like you go back throughout the course of this season, and the Saints have done it a lot. So you got to give them a lot of credit. They also failed on 4th down, so they weren't good at it either. But yeah.
It's nice to have more than like we're struggling to find stock up stuff, you know?
Oh, no, there's a lot. There's a lot. You know, we already went through Devin Neal. So let's just give a couple more. Mason Tipton, hasn't been a huge factor in the receiving game, but, second time in 3 games, he's had a long kickoff return. This one, set the tone. Like, you want to start fast.
For sure.
What better way to start fast than to get 50 yards on a kickoff return?
Right.
And, Rashid Shaheed also had a kickoff return touchdown this week. But, the teams are going to stop kicking it to Mason Tipton. And they did. I don't think he got another kick return that entire game. They kept kicking it to Dante Pettis. It just – but, I mean, you set up that – you really just – the Saints hadn't scored an opening drive touchdown since week 4 in Buffalo. And it was also a run. It was Kendre Miller. So it was just nice to see them get it, even though they gave it right back on the defensive side. And this – for whatever reason, this defense, that first drive of the game, kills them. But
sadly, it felt like the second time we've scored a touchdown in the first quarter all year. I don't know what that number is, honestly.
They did kick 2 field goals against the Patriots, so they had 6, which is almost like a touchdown. They may, I don't know. I definitely the first time since week 4. I'd have to go back. I think they scored a touchdown.
There hasn't been many. I know it.
I think they scored a touchdown in the first quarter against the 49ers. But let me see. Now I'm going to check. Week 3, the Saints played who? The Seahawks. Obviously, they did not score in that.
No.
Week 2. Nope, they didn't score in the first quarter. They did have a touchdown in the first. They scored. It was the only other game this season they scored 3 touchdowns, but it was 1 in the second, 1 in the third, 1 in the fourth. They were all red zone touchdowns. And then week 1, Arizona. No. So, yeah, they've only scored touchdowns in the first quarter twice this season, and this was one of them. So,
all right. So that's why I felt like that, because it was.
And it was their only points of the first half because they had a missed field goal. But it's just like when you just get on the board and you put scoreboard pressure on the other team, it just makes everything seem easy. So Mason Tipton, and again, Mason Tipton's return made that drive a lot easier. And it was important too, because, and the Saints were aware of this, like that rain was coming. They knew that rain was coming. So getting points on the board prior to the field conditions fully deteriorating was positive, as I can attest to, because I was down there. William Sherman, good old Bill Sherman. Good for him. He might get another start. He might get a start this week because Austin Richards has a high ankle sprain. Tali Fuaga is still dealing with an ankle sprain. Maybe he fights back. I don't know how much you want to push his ankles. And so we'll see if Bill, if Wild Bill can play well over the course of an entire game if he's asked to. But it was, you get down to your third string right tackle, and that's not the story of the game coming out of it. That's a win.
Yeah, because poor Tally, it's both ankles.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know where his status is on the left ankle, but the right ankle,
correct.
I got that right. Is definitely not great. But I think that's it. And it's funny.
A little shout out, Nate Shepard. I thought was pretty disruptive. It was part of that, I guess, pressure on Baker Mayfield. And to me, we've mentioned it before, I believe, going into training camp, I was worried about his status just overall on the roster and think he's been a nice depth piece here.
Yeah, I think the interior, like we talked about the fourth down stops, and we didn't mention the interior defensive line, which is unfair. Like those guys have a huge role in that. And DeMario kind of said, like, this team takes pride in teams not being able to just run up the middle on them, especially in those fourth down situations. Like, you want to get yards, you're going to have to find a wrinkle outside the tackles, which can happen because they're clogging that middle up. I think he said they stuff it like a turkey. But yeah, the Shepherd did get called for a trip, which was kind of strange. It looked like he just kind of like stepped on the guy's shoelace. Like, I don't know if it was like a traditional, like, oh, we actually tripped the guy, but he did get called for a 15-yard penalty, so you got to hold that against him. But no, I think Shepard's had a really strong season for a guy that no one really talks about a ton.
Right. And he's definitely someone you don't hear much from in the media.
No, I mean, I talked to him this year for the first time in like 2 years. By the way, there is a player, and I found this out the other day, and I knew this from last year, and I forgot about it. So Shough, it's weird, right? Shough. There is a player for Florida, the men's basketball, whose name is Houck, and it is spelled Hough. But it's not Huck.
Maybe they're cousins.
I don't think that's how that works.
No,
I don't. I think they're different names. But I mean, they may have like a shared kind of, whatever those names. I think it's Scottish.
Yeah.
There's probably, they may have that heritage in common. But I did think it was interesting because everyone talks about Shough. It's like, what a weird name, but this guy's got the same situation going on. Houck. Anyway, Kevin Austin. Did you see the real Kevin Austin? He says, Shough has something you can't teach a QB, ... balls. Which
he knows how to handle balls.
Okay. I don't need that. I don't need that from you.
Wet balls too.
Okay. I think this means we need to stop. You got anything else?
Just 2 more left in the dome, back to back. And we got the feisty Panthers coming in. The little kitty cats from Carolina are being a nuisance.
Sweep them. I do have one more. And I got to give Brandon Staley credit, right?
No doubt, right?
I mean, this defense, they had their moments early in the year, and it was always like, okay, they're changing schemes. Do they have all the pieces? Are they playing up to the level, or are they going to get better over the course of the year? Are people going to settle into these roles? Are rookie or young players going to step up and get better? I feel like they have. I mean, like, yeah, there's moments. They got to figure out the screen game. Like there's, like you mentioned, there's times where I feel like they're a little too soft against the run. There's moments where they need to, it would be really nice if they could clamp down and get kind of a stop after a score so that you could build a lead, and really take control of a game. Like there's things to be desired, but I think this defense has really come along well. And, Brandon Staley is not going to be the guy, at least not for a while, who's in these conversations to get poached for a head coaching job. It went poorly enough for him with the Chargers that you've got a few years before that starts to be a conversation again, kind of like Dennis Allen, right? So this system is gonna be what we're watching for a while. So it's good to see, even with the misplaced parts a little bit, right? Even with kind of the shell of a 4-3 working into the 3-4 scheme, this kind of complex match scheme, young players, rookie safety, rookie outside corner. You're giving a lot of reps to a rookie linebacker, and you have Isaiah Stallbert, who they kind of morphed into this third down, like kind of joker. Like you got to give him credit because like this defense has really kind of taken it upon itself. And like that stop at the end of the game, that was clutch. That was DeMario. I asked DeMario, I was like, about that, and he didn't even realize it was only 4 plays. He was just like, wow, we got off the field real fast. I was like, yeah, I guess that's ideal, right? And he was like, wait, it was only 4 plays? And I was like, yeah, they didn't even get 1 first down. And like you kick him the ball back, and I think every Saints fan was like, well, this is what Baker does.
Right.
Baker's driving the field. Baker's going to lead him back. It was a great game, Saints, but you gave him too much time. And instead, like anticlimactic to the top. Like Bucs fans in that building were like, we got this. And then they were real mad. Like they sat through the rain for 3 hours to watch that finish.
So how did you survive? Did you have a parka, or I know you're not standing there with an umbrella?
I had a raincoat.
Okay.
I have a pretty hefty raincoat, but I need to figure out something for my feet. Like that was the problem. Is your socks get wet and there's really nothing you can do. Like I need to come up with some like
shrimping boots.
Yeah, I need to get some, but like you also have to be presentable. Like I'm not allowed to just walk in there in rain boots. So like I have to go back home on the team plane, and so I have to be, I'll get yelled at if I look like a bum. So I need to figure out
Erin
something.
Andrews wherever she goes. Be like, how do you keep your feet warm?
Well, she gets an umbrella. She's gonna have someone following her around with an umbrella the whole time. But I need to find some more. Like I need to go shopping for some like sealed boots or boots that like seal better, because like once your socks get wet, it's over. But it also has to be like, it can't just be like something you wear on a shrimping boat, So it's a tough needle to thread, but I'll figure it out.
It's definitely all about keeping the feet and the hands warm, and then you're pretty much all right. Obviously the head, but
yeah, there were two elements that I'll say really helped, which was one, it's a lot easier to deal with that when it's a fun game and the team wins, right? And two, it was not cold. Like if it was like in the 40s, like not cold enough to snow, oh my gosh! Like you're talking about like I may have come home with like pneumonia. Thankfully, it was like in the 60s, so it was it actually cooled things off. It would be nice if I wasn't out there for 3 hours, but like Bordelais says I should go get some Uggs.
Yeah, special sponsorship.
Yeah. Speaking of Uggs, that's it for these ugly mugs.
Ugh.
Oh, that was rough. But all right, that's going to be it for this episode. Thanks, everyone, for hanging out. I'll come back and do a quick mailbag. Steve, you can head out if you want. I just want to make sure I get to some of these questions. Normally, we have a time limit, and so I'm going to cut it off prior to 2 hours. But, yeah, thanks, everyone, for hanging out. Go Saints. Who dat? 3-10. Ruining a draft pick. I'm okay with it. Hope you are, too. Thanks, everyone, for hanging out. Make sure to subscribe. You can follow me on social at Jeff_Nowak, Steve Geller, WWL, Saints_pod for the show. And make sure to check out WWL.com for the latest WWL AM 870, FM 105.3 and the Odyssey app to hear from this guy, Steve Geller, every day. Mike Detillier, Bobby Hebert. They'll be on with Kellen Moore later on tonight. So definitely go check that out. And until the next time.
Like he said, too, sweep the Panthers. Do it. Sweep the leg.
All right. Bye. All right. We're back. Steve ditched me. So we're going to get into a quick mailbag here. I'm not going to go find a graphic really quick. So you're just going to have to ignore this little space to my left. But let's go. Let's hit some comments. This first one was funny to me because when I initially read it from Bordelais, says it was good to see Grando show up yesterday. Haven't seen him in the past 2 months. Thought he might have gotten cold and took some time off. I initially read that and thought it said grandpa, and that Bordelais was telling me that they were happy to see the grandpa yesterday. But Grando, not a grandpa, although he's a little old for his a guy who's only been in the NFL for 7 years, 6 years, 5 years. I don't know. But no, he's a player that just you're like, oh yeah, that's right. Like, I don't know what his long-term prognosis is for this defense, but he's definitely a player. He's a useful player. And, it's the second year in a row outside of outside of Chase Young's injury to start the season. It's the second year in a row that there's just been virtually no attrition at the defensive end spot. Think about it. Like once they got Chase Young back in week 6, I think he started, he missed the first 5 games, came back in week 6. There has not been a single defensive end edge rusher player to miss a snap. Think about that. Like, only a few guys have even ended up on the injury report. I know Cam Jordan was dealing with an ankle injury for a period of time, but it's just been really kind of interesting to see how durable that position group has been outside of the calf injury for Chase Young. Although he didn't get any sacks yesterday, so definitely not ideal in that respect. Stratton Island says, what I saw yesterday from the Saints, for the most part, made me feel much better about this team and coach. And, it's an interesting point because I do think that, you don't need to win every game. You don't need to be the 85 Bears or the 18-0, 18-1 Patriots to get your team excited about you. You don't need to get the top seed in the conference. You don't need to go to the NFC Championship every year to get excited about you. But you do have to play competent, capable football and look like a team that's capable of winning. Look like a team that has a future. Look like a team that's building to something. And there have been a lot of games this year where I came out of it from the Saints' perspective feeling like, man, they're dead in the water. Like, they just don't have anything. Players aren't getting better. Players aren't improving. And you're really close to the project. And it's probably not true, right? It's probably not fair. But, you watch them play the Rams, and it's just, man, that's demoralizing. You're just like, wow, look how far away we are from this team. But then you see him play the Panthers, you see him play the Bucs, you see him play the Giants, and you're like, okay, there's stuff to build on. Even some of the close losses, the Cardinals, the 49ers, even the Falcons game. I know we were really negative after the Falcons game, but, you saw a team that controlled the ball the entire second half and just couldn't get that final yard. And if you got that last yard, suddenly you're talking about, wow, they dominated that second half against the Dolphins. They dominated the second half. And so there's something to be said for that. But either way, it's like football is about entertainment. It's not about winning every game. It's about having something to do on Sundays that you can call your own and be excited about. And the way the team played this week, it kind of gives you hope that, while this season is lost, maybe next season you come into it and all the lessons you learned this season and all the lumps you took this season can manifest into better football, into more consistent quality football, the same way it did for the Lions, the same way it did for the Patriots, although it's a weird example because they changed head coaches. But a lot of the players on that roster, they went through that season last year and they came out of it better. So hopefully that's the case for the Saints this year. Divine Eternity 727-268 says Vele is shutting the haters up. He got hands. And it's just funny because my take on Vele and Shough was positive based on the players I watched on tape. And all the negativity I heard about both of these players was about the age, was about injuries, was about everything but are they good football players? And it was tougher to gauge Vele than Shough because we at least saw Tyler throughout all the training camp, and you could see the progress he was making. You could see, okay, there's some room to grow here. I think they were right to go with Spencer to start the season and allow kind of that on-ramp. Did they ride that out a little longer than maybe they should have? You could make that argument. But I think that where we are now is aided tremendously by allowing Tyler to sit there and learn and wait and develop at the NFL level. Vele was a tougher situation because we didn't see him in camp. It was all based on vibes and how we felt about it. And it's yes, you look at a player that you needed a bigger bodied player for a lot of reasons, but one being it's a safer target. It's a guy who can send over the middle of the field, can take the hits, can box somebody out, make a tough catch in contested situations. But it's also go back and watch Tyler Shough's 34-yard touchdown run to start the second half, and go see who has the key block to steal it, right? Like you send Vele in motion, and he finds the cornerback, he seals him off, Tyler flies by him, and that's a touchdown because he won on that block. There have been a lot of times, like we talk about the Saints' lack of explosive runs this year. They've been one block away a lot of times, whether it's on a QB run, whether it's on an outside, like a bubble screen, where you just need that wide receiver to hold up on that block for a second. And there have been at least 4 or 5 times this year that I've spotted that it's like, man, whether it's Rashid, whether it was Shaheed, whether it was Olave, it's like, if he wins that block, that's a 20, 25-yard run. He loses that block, it's a 2-yard run. And having a guy that you trust that could go up and just size up a defensive back and win, that's a valuable piece. And it becomes even more valuable when he's also a guy. You know, you talk about a Traquan Smith. Why was Traquan Smith here for so long? Because he was able to do that. Now, what Traquan wasn't able to do is be a consistent, reliable pass catcher over the middle of the field. He'd drop everything within sight. And to this point, it sure looks like Vele can be that. Now, he did have that weird tipped up ball at the end. Like, would like to see him not tip the ball up. But, you know, those critical moments where you need a first down, where you just need a tough catch, he's proven to be able to do that. And so you look at guys building, developing connections as they go. We talked about it with Chris Olave. I think there's a little bit more finesse that you need with the Chris Olave in terms of, you know, he's not that bigger guy. You can't just fire it in and expect him to win. You gotta win with technique and scheme a little bit more. Yeah. And I've said it before. I like this duo. I think this duo works. I think that's the ideal scenario. Is you got one kind of speedy guy who can create elite separation, and you got one bigger guy who doesn't need to create elite separation because he can win in tight coverage. You got a move tight end in Juwan Johnson, who can be a weapon in the pass game over the middle of the field. And I'd like to see them find a more elite blocking tight end option. If you can get one tight end who can be both, great. Those are hard to find. And yeah, I think that's where this team needs to go and find a tight end. But either way, like, if you feel like the quarterback's there, you can do that pretty easily. Like, you can find tight ends and running backs in the draft because you can take them in the second round, third round, and find a lead option. So Kevin Austin says Bailey is quickly becoming Marcus Colston 2.0. I don't know about that, but he's definitely doing well. Will Hildebrand, speaking of Hail Marys, how about Gulfport beating Tupelo on 1 for their first high school championship ever? I'm going to take your word for that. Good for them. Divine Eternity says Shough is the best rookie quarterback starting right now. I mean, it's hard to disagree. Cam Ward, I felt like, played pretty well yesterday. Shedeur Sanders played well yesterday, but both of those teams are a pretty easy mark to go off against. It's going to be interesting to see, just from a comparison perspective, how Tyler looks against that Titans defense, because they sure look susceptible. And Shedeur played well. Shedeur had a couple really nice touchdown drives late in that game, bring him back. That ill-fated 2-point conversion attempt that I know fans aren't super thrilled about. But I mean, I think a lot of people will tell you Jackson Dart is playing better. I've watched a lot of Jackson. Trust me, I've watched a lot of Jackson Dart. I don't think he's playing better. I think he's just playing like that kind of hair on fire rookie quarterback that you can't survive with that play style. You know, like once Jackson starts playing like a quarterback and getting down and avoiding big hits, it's going to be interesting to see if he can be as productive, because I just don't know if he will be. And like, if you have to play that way to be productive, then you're just not going to last. So we'll see. But I agree. I think Tyler's been the best rookie quarterback, and that only lasts until you're not a rookie anymore, right? Next year, he's just going to be a quarterback. So it's not going to be about, is he the best second-year quarterback? It's going to be about, where does he rank with the rest of the starters? But for now, I think you're okay with just being able to say, he's just the best rookie quarterback right now. And that's why, you know, that matchup with the Titans, and you see him kind of head-to-head with Cam Ward. And because I have, you know, like we talked about, people are ignoring Tyler Shough. People have really been ignoring Cam Ward and the Titans. And I have not seen anything. You know, he's not on national television ever either, right? Like the Saints, Titans, and I think the Browns. I believe it was the Browns were the 3 teams that did not get a primetime game. So it's like That's my exposure to a lot of these quarterbacks, is watching them on Thursday Night Football, watching them on Sunday Night Football, Monday Night Football, in those afternoon Fox windows, right? And I've not seen him once. So I don't even know. It's like, I'm just telling you Tyler looks better than Cam right now based on vibes. And I'll get a much closer look in a couple weeks when I start to look at the Titans and their offense ahead of that game. But yeah, we'll see how it goes. Either way, like, you just have to feel good about it. Like, it's been a while since the Saints have had a quarterback situation that they felt like was ascending, right? Like, I think Derek Carr got more hate than was fair, considering how he was playing. I think, it was better than people give it credit for, and the fact that he was able to bring them to a 9-8 season, I think with some distance, like, it should be viewed a little more positively. But it never felt like the needle was pointing up, even at the best of times, other than that weird, like, 2-week window at the start of last season when the Saints were the best team in football, which was an alternate dimension. But, like, that's what it feels like right now, and that's where the positivity is okay. It's a 3-10 season. It's ugly, but you feel like there's something growing and there's something building, and that's a healthy thing, not a negative thing like that might sound. I don't want things growing on me. Andy Shearer 10 says, enjoying the positivity. So happy with much the young guys are showing flashes of what they might be capable of. Shough, Neal, Tipton, Vele are all inconsistent, but coming up with big plays. And I think that's a good point. Like, I think developing as a young player isn't about making big plays all the time. It's not about being explosive constantly, or every time they touch the ball, something great happens. But it is about being consistent and developing that consistency. So a higher percentage of the time you get the ball, you get put into a situation and you deliver, right? Tipton, I think, is kind of becoming that return ace, that special teams ace that I think you need, and that you lost when you traded Rashid Shaheed away. And those are hard to find. Like, those are important, and the Saints have been pretty good about finding him. Devin Neal, like, didn't get a ton of opportunities early in the season. Now he is a featured player and he's delivering. Tyler Shough, same situation. And Devon Vele, same situation. Like, you give guys opportunities and they deliver, and they're not going to deliver every time, but the higher the frequency is that you can do that, that's just a sign of young players getting better. Will Hildebrand points out that Devin Neal was a highly productive player in college. He was. I think he set tons of records at Kansas. But that doesn't always translate. I remember Andre Williams at a Boston college. He was like the most productive college player of all time. And, he was what he was at the NFL level. There was a kid out of UConn who had Donald Brown had a huge college career. And I think he was actually a decent pro for, I can't remember who he played for. Maybe it was the Colts, I believe. But college production doesn't always translate. You got to be able to do the NFL things to be trusted at the NFL level, and pass protection is the biggest reason he's been there. All right. Who dat chasing 09? Everything but complimenting my guy. I don't know what you're talking about there, but we're gonna move on. Lehman Park, who's just a troll. Like, I've learned this about Lehman Park, is he's just trying to rile you up. Doesn't really care. Just wants to say negative things. But big fan of the show, so I'll give him his time. Says, now we're picking 5th, man. We can't even lose the right way. And so let's look at Tankathon. That'd be a good way to end this, or at least kind of start to wrap this up, is where the Saints are picking right now, which is, as Lehman Park points out, they are currently in the 5th slot, behind Cleveland, ahead of Washington, New York Jets, and the Arizona Cardinals, all at 3-10. And remember, the tiebreaker for the draft order is not head-to-head record or whatever. It is strength of schedule, and whichever team has the weaker strength of schedule picks higher, which I don't know why it's a strange tiebreaker. You'd almost like rather they flip a coin. But it is what it is. And so what that would dictate to you is a couple more wins. And geez, I mean, if the Saints win next week against the Panthers, which is a possibility, they could be picking as low as 9th if all these other teams lose. The next rung is the Falcons at 4-9, who poor Atlanta. They have to give that pick away to the Rams. Right now, that would be number 9. Cincinnati lost to the Bills in a shootout. They'll probably win more games with Joe Burrow back. They're 4-9. That's the 10 seed. But like a couple, you steal a couple wins here at the end of the season, you get to 5 wins, you're picking in the 8, 9, 10 range. And so I understand why people might be annoyed, but as I've said pretty consistently, like if you're good enough to win games, it doesn't like that's a good thing. Chuck D LX1V 44 Chuck D 44 says the media spin is that Tampa played badly and that the Saints not that the Saints played well. And in fairness, Tampa did play badly. That was a bad game for them. We didn't really talk about it in the show, but if all they do is catch a wide open touchdown, Emeka Egbuka just catches the ball, they're tied in that game. If Deion Jones, I think it was, makes that interception on the sideline on that tipped up ball, they have it at midfield with down 4 with like 2 minutes to go. And that's a whole different situation, right? Like they got stopped on 4th down 5 times. The Saints got the ball near midfield 3 different times in that game because of 4th down stops. So they did play poorly, and that's definitely part of it. But the Saints also took advantage of it by playing well on their own. So 2 things can be true, but I agree with you. Lehman Park did have something positive to say about Bailey, which is it's a rare thing. He points out that we need quarterbacks, linebackers, safeties, interior linemen, receivers, coaches, GMs, upgrades to New Orleans East. I would add the former Six Flags could be redeveloped. You could add that on there. It would be nice to see something done with that. I'm a big fan of roller coasters. You could add that to the list. But yeah, Saints need a lot of stuff. All right, let's go into some of the new comments to close this out. Borderly says, "Yeah, that dude sucks." He would be thrilled to see you say that. I just need you to know that's who you're talking about. He thrives. He thrives. Okay. Let's see a few more. Oh, we're talking about Groupie. Sandra. Wow. I'm sorry. Sandra Saint Etienne, 1337. I think I'm saying that correctly. It's a lot of letters all jumbled together, but I believe it's Sandra Saint Etienne, 1337. Like Travis and who's the other Etienne? Trevor, I believe it's Trevor. Says, how do you feel about Blake Groupie's comment about being on a team that's interested in building something? I don't take it personally. The Saints are 3-10. I do start to wonder if he is cursed because the second he showed up, Daniel Jones' leg exploded. That's a bummer for the Colts, and they're in trouble. He did make his kicks yesterday, and I don't know, I don't know why you people would be mean to Blake Groupie. Like he's just telling the local media the positive things they want to hear, right? He's not talking to the Saints, he's talking to the Colts, and he's trying to win over that fan base because you're a kicker. You're like, that's the thing. When you're a kicker, the positivity only goes until those kicks stop going in. Like everyone's a fan of Charlie Smith right now. If that 48-yarder becomes a 45-yard miss and a 38-yard miss, suddenly, wow, he can make it from 67, but it does not matter. He's Brett Maher. Like it goes that fast. So I don't know. I'm not gonna be. He's gone. Like you got your way. He's not like the Saints kicker anymore. He can say whatever he wants, man. And Borderly says, I can't prove it. I think Groupie may have been cursed. He left and we start winning. Meanwhile, the first game he plays in, Jones is a season-ending injury. Coincidence? Yes, it is a coincidence. But yeah. And I don't take it as a guy throwing shade. I take it as a guy just talking to the local media and saying, hey, I went from a team that literally got eliminated from playoff contention last week to a team that's among the top in the AFC and has a chance to do something now. Like that's what it is. All right. And yeah, wouldn't you be salty if you got cut? Like, why wouldn't you be? What do you expect to say? Oh man. All right. I think that's about it. So I think we will Yeah, Jerry says, "Oh look, we're still live." Come on, if you haven't learned by now that the secret mailbag comes after the way too long live stream, I don't know what to tell you. It's just what happens here. Keith Dickey DV3XP says, "Shuck, yeah," and I'm looking forward to all the. We need to start. If we're convinced Tyler Shough is going to be the guy, it is time we start investing in more creative Shough puns. Like there's got to be more than Shuck, yeah, and what the Shuck and stuff like that. Like come on, we as a fan base have more in our bag than that. So that is my charge to the Saints fans. If they're really in on Tyler Shough, start coming up with more creative ways to use that name. And we'll see. Like, put it on billboards. I remember this is an aside, but it was a similar situation in Myrtle Beach. This is the last thing I'll tell you. When I lived up in Myrtle Beach, there's a team called Myrtle Beach Pelicans. They're a minor league baseball team, which, yes, I have lived in 2 cities. I guess Myrtle Beach isn't a city, but I've lived in 2 locales that have Pelicans as a professional sports team. And I remember they had a billboard campaign they put up, and they said they were unflocking believable. And I remember they had to apologize and take them down because a bunch of people, I don't know, complained and said, "This is a family thing, and I have to explain to my children what unflocking means." It's just like, they're birds. That's what it means. But they had to take it down. So I'm glad that no one's reacting to this in that way, because if we had to stop using the Shuck as it relates to the word that we're using it in place of, yeah. But I also need to say, Will, my dog Bailey is not a boy, and I would like you to stop misgendering my dog. Bailey is a girl, and she's a very nice girl. She's a good girl, if you will. And she is waiting for her walk that is usually at noon. It is now 2:30 p.m., so she's about ready to gnaw my ankle off. So that's why I will end this show. Thanks, everyone, for hanging out. If we could do this after a win every week, I would never be in a bad mood. But alas, we talk about the Saints. So enjoy this feeling, because we do not know how long it will last. Again, as always, thanks everyone for hanging out. I'm Jeff Nowak. My guy Steve Geller, he ran away, but you can still follow him at Steve Geller WWL. He's got a job. He's got stuff to do. He's busy. And I'll start doing stuff too. Anyway, who dat? Go Saints. We'll be at you later in the week. Not planning to do a traditional preview for the Panthers game. Just like this week, we've already learned enough about the Panthers. We don't need to do it again. So I'll be coming up with some ideas for, maybe look at draft positioning, maybe look at, some other themes that we can hit for that middle segment. I'll see who Mike Haas is interviewing. Maybe I'll give you another dose of the Hoster. And until then, who dat? Go Saints. Be easy, y'all. Peace.